Hi, I'm Chris Martenson. It's Wednesday, March 18th, 2015. I'm here with your update. Listen, a lot going on. You know, my last report, which was on the possibility of going to war, and that was just really chronicling all of the advances in the breakdown, if I can phrase it that way, between Russia and the United States, principally. Now, since that report, of course, things have only gotten a little bit dicier. What do we have? Well, the United States just 2 days ago shipped 40 up-armored Humvees, which are highly armored personnel carriers, those Humvee cars, and 200 regularly armored ones, and anti-mortar radar detection devices, night vision scopes. What we're calling non-lethal aid has been shipped over. Now, Russia has been saying, if you do that, you're going to be escalating the situation. So we have that going on, and of course there are elements in the United States Congress and Senate who are saying, let's even dispense with that illusion. Let's just ship in tanks, hardware, armor, bullets, you name it, lethal aid, as it's called. So that whole thing is still simmering, and it's got a really interesting backdrop to it, because if the intention of the United States was ultimately to drive a wedge between Europe and Russia over the Ukraine situation, I think that worked pretty well for the first few months of this conflict. But now things seem to be shifting back the other way. General Breedlove, who's the U.S. general at the head of NATO, has been saying things like Russia has over 1,000 pieces of military hardware inside of Ukraine, 20,000 troops, other gigantic claims. Not one picture has been offered, not one piece of supporting evidence, and it's so obviously not true that even the German military and analysts have been calling General Breedlove's statements dangerous propaganda. Now here's the thing, in today's day and age you cannot move even one, let alone 1,000 pieces of military hardware across the flat open steppes of eastern Ukraine without taking as many pictures of it as you want. If we were able to take pictures, we would have. Those would have been released to the world by now. They haven't been released, but it hasn't stopped U.S. officials, including Secretary of State John Kerry, Assistant Secretary of State Victoria Nuland, General Breedlove, from claiming that there are thousands of pieces of Russian hardware in Ukraine. In fact, Congress and the Senate cited that fact when they were passing resolutions condemning Russia for their invasion of Ukraine. And of course, we've attached sanctions to Russia, saying as soon as you leave Ukraine, we'll lift the sanctions. But Russia's point has been, we're not in there. And if you could prove we're in there, we'd be happy to leave. But how do you prove a negative? Can't do it. So that's all been simmering. And of course, just yesterday, Putin came out and said, when they were taking and going through the annexation process of Crimea, that they were on nuclear readiness alerts, that they were ready to go as far as necessary to secure the port of Sevastopol, of course, which is in Crimea, which is where Russia has it's their only warm water port. They were going to do whatever it took necessarily to contain and maintain possession of that. So all of that's going on. It's still simmering. I'm here with your update saying, listen, even though it's not necessarily on the front of your newspaper, these things are still going on constantly, and they look like they're escalating, not de-escalating. But big, gigantic faux pas for the United States. There's this Asia Bank, which has been stood up in Beijing, which is there to counteract and be a different force compared to the World Bank, and which is housed in Washington, D.C. The U.S. administration had gone to Europe, had gone to Australia and said, hey, don't participate in that. You know, Russia's doing that, China's doing that. That represents a threat to our power. And of course, the UK signed up. And while Obama was busy chewing out David Cameron in the UK over that action, Australia signed up. So it feels like the United States, instead of having driven the wedge they wanted between Russia and China and the rest of the world, is actually losing ground in this particular battle. So it's very interesting what's shaping up. Now, if you feel like all of this stuff is speeding up, you're absolutely right. Things are going faster and faster. We have a new two-parter up on the site written by Charles Hugh Smith that talks about how things are speeding up, why they're speeding up, and why really there's no good resolution to this besides figuring out how to answer this question. Who's going to eat the losses? That's all we're trying to figure out at this point in time. Got the Greece thing going on, what the banks are trying to do, bail-in, bail-out provisions, all this stuff. It's really, look, we can't pay back the debts. we can't figure out who's going to pay the loss, who's going to eat the losses on this. That's really what's going on. So, important context, I invite you to stop by Peak Prosperity, sign up and subscribe here if you want to receive these updates as well. But lots going on, time to pay attention. Information is the new money. It's the most important thing that you can keep on top of what's happening in the world. So with that, I'll sign off. I'll see you next time. And one last thing. April 24th, 25th this year, we have a seminar at Rowe, and that's in Rowe, Massachusetts. If you want to sign up for that, please do. There's a couple of spots left. It's going to be full this year. Usually we don't fill up to just a few weeks beforehand, but this year it looks like it's filling up early. So if you want to check that out, you can find a link to that at our site, or just Rowe, R-O-W-E, Martinson, Google it. You'll find the link right away. With that, I'm signing off till next time.